So we've created the drifting grating. We've shown that we can change the spatial frequency of that drifting grating. We've shown that we can change the size, the orientation of the bars. We've also shown that we can change the contrast. That was in the previous video. So if you haven't followed the previous couple of videos, go back and have a watch and then start this one again. And what we're going to do now is we're going to think to ourselves, well, what if we don't want the drifting grating to be just a square? Okay, what do I mean by that? Here we've got the window, the canvas, and it's 800 by 600 pixels width and height. And what we've done, so this is our grating stimulus here, we have created it so that it is 800 pixels square. So if we drop this down to 200 pixels now, we can see the shape essentially of our grating stimulus. It will be a square 200 by 200 pixels slap bang in the middle of the canvas, because remember the position was 0, 0. This is also in the units of pixels, so this is 200 by 200, so we should be able to fit about 3. So 200, yeah, so that's about a third of the way there, and this is about a quarter of the way across, although it's centered on 0, 0. Now, what if we don't want it to be square? What if we want to have a shape or a mask? We can do that in Psychopy. So if we look at the Psychopy documentation here, so this is the grating stim documentation. If we go down, we can see that we can change the contrast. That's what we did in the last one. And then what we can do is we can apply a mask. And this is going to change the shape or provide an outline shape for the image. We've got some options here. We can make a circle, a Gauss, raised cosine, or a cross. So we'll draw a couple of these just so we can see what they look like. We can also put in a NumPy array, so we can make an arbitrary shape. So we'll just do a couple of these now. So let's go back to our stimulus. So where do we apply the mask? Well, we go to the grating stim, the object. We've got the texture here, and we've got mask here. So we need to put mask in. It defaults to none, and we know that that's going to look like a square of the size that we have here. So we change this to a string called circle, and now what we should see is essentially a circle drifting stimulus located in the center of our canvas, of our window. And there we go here, okay? That's now been masked by a circle shape. All the other parameters that we've set, the contrast, the spatial frequency, the orientation, the drift speed, remember how we set the drift speed by changing the phase, that's all unchanged. All we've done is basically put a mask around our stimulus. So that's one, that's called a circle. So let's pop that over to the left a bit. So if we go back to say minus 400 now, we just want to put it to the left because we want to get another stimulus up on the same canvas. So here I'm also going to show you how to put multiple stimuli on the canvas. So I've gone a little bit too far there, haven't I? So let's come back a bit. We'll go to say minus 200. So this should be nice on the left hand side, about halfway up again. There it is. Okay, so that's good. We'll quit out of that. Now let's create another stimulus. So here we go. We've got our circ grate stim. So I'm going to Control C. I'm going to Control V. That. So I'm just going to cut and paste that entirely, but we're going to name it something different. We're just going to call this, the bog standard grate stim. And the mask that we want is now going to be none, so we can compare the default shape. And its position, we'll put its position at 0, so it should be in the center. And we need to now set the phase, and we need to get it to drift. So we'll call this grat stim.set phase, 0.01, and we want to increment up. Now we've got that in the memory, we now need to put it onto the window. Okay, and it's being applied to the same window, so it should work fine now, if I've done it correctly, that is. Let's have a look. There should be 2 stimuli on the screen now. There it is there. So here is our circle masked. Here is our non-masked, so they're both 200 pixels by 200 pixels. Okay. I want this separated just a little bit more, so I'll go to -300. They're a bit too close together for my liking. You can get stuck doing this for years. Not years. Oh, it's a little bit too far. I'll come -250. I just want to put a bit of space between them. 2 stimuli. Circle one, or masked, is on the left. We've got the standard one in the middle. By standard, I mean the default one. So there we go. Now what we're going to do to the right is we're going to do a cross. Not angry, but it's going to be in the shape of a cross. So the mask is now going to be cross. Its position is now going to be the opposite of the first one, so it'll be 250. Size is the same, spatial frequency is the same. We now need to set the phase, so cross gratstim.setPhase. So you see now how by having access to each of the individual stimuli, you can now change the phase of any one of these stimuli, or the orientation. Need to draw it to the window, and then we can flip the window to the screen, from memory to the screen. So hopefully we should have 3 stimuli now, a circle on the left, the standard one in the middle, and the cross to the right. And there we go. So we can see there we've applied a cross mask, a square, or no mask at all, so it's a square, and a circle. And the circle radius should be 200 pixels. The cross should also be 200 pixels. So here we can change the shape. Okay, so here we can also know now how to create multiple stimuli for the same window. We can create, in this case, we've created 3 grating stimuli. We've named them 3 different names, and we can set the parameters for each of those 3 or 4 or however many you want to put on. You can set them independently, and then you can draw them independently. You can change their parameters independently and do whatever you want to each of those 3 separately. We'll leave that there.